Alrighty, fellas. Good morning. My name is Patrouski. Welcome back to our PokeMMO stream recap, okay? This is your daily source of tips, tricks, information, and just general discussion and news on what's happening inside the PokeMMO community. And I have a lot to talk about today. A lot of forum posts, a lot of events, a lot of community discussion, a little bit of vitriol, a little bit of frustrations. Some of it's warranted, some of it's fair, some of there's good critique, there's over cynicism. We're going to talk about all of that today. Like, we're talking about like the relationship between over positivity and over cynicism, which wins out in the PokeMMO community, where we're really at, trying to find the logical medium ground, like what's reality, right? Let's go ahead and jump into it, okay? So first things first, some good news, some happy news, just catch events, dude. Kakuna Rattata, it's our problem-free philosophy. Kakuna Rattata, Tuesday the 7th of October 2025 at 2:30 ET. Weird time for a catch event. 2:30 p.m. ET. Route 31 in Johto. You have 1 hour to catch as many Kakuna Rattata, Caterpie, Spinarak, and Bellsprout as possible, with a +3 nature bonus and a -3 nature bonus on Relaxed and Serious. And then first place prize is a gift shiny Weedle with 3x31, 3x20 in the other IVs. Your choice of nature, 2 moves, and 1,000 RP, and also more RP for the other prizes. If you're an Iron Man account or even a main account, you want to win some free RP prior to event season, right now is the best time to do so. That's that upcoming catch event. Next up, the Friday the 10th of October, 2 p.m. ET, Route 201 in Sinnoh. You're gonna have 1 hour to catch Bidoof, Starly, and Mime Jr. I've covered this event a few times. This one is new though, Kakuna Rattata. This one is a non-shiny Turtwig, Chimchar, or Piplup as your prize. Next up, we do have some Chinese catch events. These are really important for Chinese players, Australian players, graveyard shift workers, anybody who is on a different sort of schedule from the Western world. These time zones might be more applicable to you. A lot of people say, oh, I can't make catch events, like they're just never in my time zone in PokeMMO. If that's the case, these should be for you. Make sure to just Google whatever Beijing time to my time zone on Google should help you find out what time it is for you. This is at Friday, October 10th, 2025 at 1600 Beijing time. It's a Marl catch event in Hoenn region, Route 104. You can catch Marls and get yourself a shiny Marl plus different RP distributions for Chinese catch events. So it's only 500 RP all the way across. That's once again on 1600 Beijing time, Friday the 10th of October. Next up, I think it's like 4 a.m. my time. So I can't do these events, but these are for people who can't do the other ones. It's like 4 a.m., you know, ET, so I can't do these. Saturday, the October 11th, 1600 Beijing time, Unova Route 18, Channel 5. You don't have to be on Channel 5, obviously. One slippery boy. You can catch as many slippery boys as you possibly can. Typical catch event rules. You submit your catch event, submit your submission, and get a chance for a gift flash slippery boy. And that's obviously a shiny Scraggy. Really cool shiny, really cool Pokemon, and some free RP. Now, next up, there is currently a big shiny war that is active in Team Mr. It is the 9th biannual Team Mr. Shiny War, and it is Team Corfish versus Team Phoebus. It is, I think, we're officially, how many days? It started Saturday. I think we're 2 days in. I think we are 48 hours into the event for reference, and the score is currently 42-34. I wanted to call out some of the big shinies here, and also this just amazing new leaderboard. This leaderboard being so in depth, being able to go look at people's shiny, go to Curse Man and go see, oh, how many shinies does Curse Man have? Like, go scout out the players, get to know the players involved in the war. I cannot understate how revolutionary this is for Team Mr. Shiny Wars. Anybody else who wants to kind of try to use this sort of technology in the future. But look at this, Dr. Doom, who is our own Vincer Plays, my Poke Broker in the past. He got a secret shiny Trico in a ×3 horde, but it's a single encounter. It was using a premium lore, so he got this day one of the event. He got himself a shiny Trico. Also, someone got a shiny Corfish on Team Corfish as the first shiny. That's poetic if you ask me. That's got to be a good sign. But then you see Dr. Doom again. Vincer caught another secret shiny. He has gotten 2 secret shinies in 2 days. That is unbelievable. That is crazy. This is craziness. And it's so cool that we can see this laid out because of the leaderboard. Secret shiny Trico and a secret shiny, I'm pretty sure Safari Sunkern is what this is. I could be wrong. It might just be a normal single encounter Sunkern, but that's pretty insane. And then Pookie, you guys have my craziest wet streak in PokeMMO was 3 shinies in 3 hours. Okay, 3 shinies in 3 days. It was an amazing moment. Stream recap 100. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It was all on stream. Okay, Pookie got 5 shinies in 24 hours. 5 shinies in 24 hours. A Woobat, what's the Duosion? What's the middle evolution of Uniclus? Duosion, Mianfu, Dino, and Basculin. 5 shinies, 24 hours in 1 day is just insane. My opening, Corv, talk about cinema. Dude, it's actually, yeah, there's so much cool shit here. Look at Nith over here, bro. Secret shiny Lunatone into back-to-back single encounter Lunatone. There's a lot of really cool stuff. Check it out if you can. His website is called PokeMMOTools.net/Mr. War, or just PokeMMO Tools. You can check it out. Next up, we have some forum posts to get back to, okay? Now, this is a forum post by Q, who's pretty much the head dev of PokeMMO, if you don't know. Now, this is really, really important. This is just a nice little, and this kind of goes into, other stuff we're about to talk about, okay? That Seer Chinese Soul Rock was on his birthday, by the way. Dude, Shiny War is fucking cinema. That's so sick. Thanks for linking it, Vincer. A lot of what I want to discuss today, is developer communication and the lack thereof sometimes, and the sort of disappointment and frustrations with the developers, but also how do we present it in a critiquing and helpful way that isn't just constant cynicism, constant baby rage. If you complain about something every single day and it's never getting fixed, you're not really doing anything productive. You have to choose when to fight your battles, where to fight your battles, how to fight them in the most productive way, and we're going to talk about that. And also, just this is an example of, in my opinion, people are really hard. And to be fair, I don't want to I'm not talking about the entire PokeMMO community when I say this. We're getting a lot better. I think ever since I've started voicing my opinions, and then content creators have been we're becoming way more careful with how we talk to the devs and just treating them like humans. It's really easy to dehumanize game developers because we don't see their faces a whole lot, or they don't communicate, right? But they're people just trying to do the best job they can, and we have to have that assumption. We're not assuming the devs are these evil overlords like some people on the PokeMMO Reddit or some people on the forums do, okay? So we're going to talk about that, but let's focus on one step at a time. I'm getting ahead of myself. This was a post by Q on the Chinese general discussion PokeMMO forums. It's actually originally posted in Mandarin, and I had to translate it into English via Google Chrome. So a lot of people may not have seen this forum post. This is continuously optimize the network experience for Chinese players. With the Halloween event approaching, some of you may have noticed that we're launching a bunch of new servers to optimize connectivity for players in China. Over the past few months, one of our relay providers experienced routing issues, resulting in degraded experience for players in China. Despite our best efforts, network stability remains an issue, and we've initiated a replacement process. For the players in China on Telecom and China Unicom, these new servers have seen immediate results, reducing average latency by 10% during peak hours and improving stability. However, optimizing for China Mobile remains challenging. Due to domestic telecom regulations, we will continue to explore the best strategies to improve the network experience for cellular data users. In the coming months, we'll be working on reduce system latency through physical network optimization for players in ideal areas. We believe the average latency could be reduced by up to 30%. Improve the experience of a China mobile player by optimizing lines and improving the client delay handling mechanism. Thank you for your attention and your patience. This is just one of those major things that game developers have to deal with on the back end that the average player will never think about. The average PokeMMO players love to complain. They love to be like, oh, where's Gen 6? Where's this? Where's this big update? But not understanding that being a game developer, being a game developer is like it's kind of like being a content creator, but probably harder. I don't know. I can only speak from my minimal experience as a super mildly successful, barely made it, barely here content creator. Whereas they're like wildly successful game developers who own the biggest Pokemon MMO, but obviously it's still a niche, whatever, somewhat thin, right? You have to do these guys have to do all their own taxes, which become extremely complicated when you're self-employed. They have to reach out to like different parts of the world internationally, having to get having to figure out coordination stuff like this for networks, for like, it's so much. I can't imagine having to call server companies. It is so much. There is so much back-end stuff. The point of me showing you guys this post is that to give the devs a little bit of empathy, that there is things that we don't always see and don't always understand, right? There's always more we only see the updates, we only see certain things. There's so much they do every single day, and I bet you the upkeep of PokeMMO is so much work, and that's well beyond 40 hours a week. Now, let me qualify. When the devs say something like there is going to be an update in August or September, and that does not happen, you have every right as a player to be frustrated. Every single that's the duality here, is like, yes, it makes sense the developers get backed up, and it's kind of like it's almost like a lose-lose, and it kind of sucks, but we have to just be as empathetic as possible, and that's kind of where we're at right now, in my opinion, in the community. So I'm going to show you guys this post. We're going to move into the next post, and I actually think this post is like mostly fine. I'm trying to figure out like what's the percentage here. I would say that this post is like 80 to 90% fine. It borders the line of like crashing out a little bit too much, but people are clowning on this guy in the comments. And I actually think this is a valid level of frustration to vent. Let me read the post. They did it again is which is kind of dramatic title, right? Well, one day before the end of September, we never saw the supposed update that they would bring in August or September, an update that was going to delay the Shiny War 2 weeks. But will this be another of the promises they make and do not keep? I was really looking forward to them bringing an update before Halloween, and thus the game would not be so repetitive until that event. But well, I will not say anything else, because in the same way. So this is a good thing. He expressed his feeling. He expressed his frustration, his disappointment. That's a good thing. That is a good thing. Share your feelings. Let them know. Or don't be afraid. Don't be like, oh, it's too vulnerable. No, just do it, man. It's not. Feelings should not be this scary thing. But then he goes on to like shield his feelings and protect himself. But, well, I will not say anything else, because in the same way, this post will be forgotten and no admin will ever give an answer. Well, now this is the like doomer, like cynical. It's funny, like this guy goes through like different emotions in one post. This is like now we're into like doomer cynicism territory of like, well, it doesn't even matter because nothing I say matters because blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, well, now you're like victimizing to like, we gotta, you know, you have to. I mean, it's hard. It's hard not to when it's kind of extreme, but you've been made to be the victim because the devs have lied to you. The devs have said, hey, an update's coming, and then it doesn't come. You have every right to be frustrated, but we still have to operate and communicate with accordance to healthy conversation. That's what's really, really difficult. Let's continue what he's saying. No dev will ever give it an answer. You don't want to say stuff like this. This is very like you're assuming your opposition's response before you even hear it, and that is, you're basically like building a wall. Like you don't actually want open communication, but his feelings are valid. His feelings are very, very, very valid. Would you be so kind, and like this is fair, would you? So now he goes back to healthy communication, in my opinion. Would you be so kind as to say if it will come before Halloween? Because assuming they do not implement it now, they will do it later. I do not understand, like everything else. It's only like one sentence in this post is kind of unhealthy, in my opinion. But everything else is very, very good. Not to like armchair psychologist too much, but it's kind of how communication with people and developers go. I do not understand why is it so difficult for you to talk about any future plans and never say the exact date. That's fair. This is a mostly I think this is a really valid post, and I respect when players. This is a pretty healthy example, in my opinion, of a player venting their frustrations, and I think it's mostly fair. Now, we have two other posts I want to talk about. Let's talk about this post first, and then we'll get into the longer post. This is a earnest player. How do you feel about the player base currently? Spoons says, I'm honestly just coming to get a general opinion. I have not been able to stay active during summer, but coming back now and being more active, I feel like the game has been as big as ever. This is true. We're in a down period in PokeMMO, but I try to I think some people hear that and like, oh my god, PokeMMO is like down. Well, no, it's expected to be down. PokeMMO always goes down, and like you can't maintain hype forever. Anybody who's expecting to maintain hype forever, it's not possible. It's gonna die. You're gonna go through waves of anything in life, of any game, any hobby, any whatever, right? It's healthy to have those waves. Now, what point are those waves at? What percentage? That's where things get healthier, unhealthy, or whatever, right? But let me let me read what he was saying. I feel like the game is as big as ever. I want to touch on really quick. the game is bigger than it's ever been. We can tell this via GTL numbers, via content creator analytics, via YouTube analytics. Anybody saying the game is dying has, in my opinion, probably not played the game for very long, or they're very cynical, which, you know, you want to try to find what's in the middle, right? There are problems to solve in this game. There are things that I think need hot fixes, things that need immediate touching. But are we really doing that bad? Can we still have fun? Like, that's kind of where it's at, right? Our low points, our like, oh, the game's getting a little bit, you know, it's in a down period right now. Our low points are higher than our peak points were 2-3 years ago. I don't now, let me qualify. I don't know that for sure. I feel that way. Let me make that, let me go back and make that an I feel statement. I feel like it seems to be the case, and I feel like our low points have more activity and more player base than we did at our peak points back in like 2022, 2023. Maybe outside of like Johto, because Johto release was really special. It's a new region. People really care about that, right? Okay, let's continue onwards finally. I go around cities and I see a lot more players. Maybe I'm just overthinking or seeing things, but is this not as active as it has ever been? I have also seen an increased amount of kindness, which is a huge positive for me, honestly. I think things have gotten a lot better. It's just we go in waves in the Pokemon community. We're always learning and things like that, right? I wish nothing but the best for the game. Hope it keeps going upwards. Like, this guy is just making it his personal, anecdotal, earnest observation of the game, and I think it's cool. I think it's cool to see like how people are feeling, and I think how the community is healing, and I think it's just a really cool forum post to make. Next up, let's cover a more negative, more critiquing forum post made by Alice, but made, in my opinion, in a very healthy, critiqueful way. And I'll be honest with you, I voted on this poll. Alice made a poll. Let me do this really quick. Agree or disagree? I am content with the devs' approach to communication. I voted disagree. I love the devs. I don't, you know, I think they're doing the best they can in a lot of ways, but there's still room for improvement. I think that best describes the PokeMMO player base's relationship with the developers right now. Is I feel like they're probably doing the best they can in a lot of ways, but they still just need to improve. They still need to keep raising their best, making their best better and better. That's kind of how it feels like, in my opinion. This is a post titled "Regarding Communication." This post, and I love this start. This start is how, and I'll explain why. If you don't assume good from your opposition, there's no discussion to be had. If you're assuming a person is operating in malice, that means that logically you can't convince them of otherwise, right? If some kid likes going around and like smashing and like breaking other kids' toys because he finds it fun, you can't really talk to that when they're a kid. But if an adult, imagine like an adult, you can't really do anything about that. Like, they have to just change their fundamental thought process. If we're assuming like, okay, the devs don't like running around and breaking other people's toys, which you should assume, that's how you open yourself up to a discussion. If you think that the devs just don't care about, we'll stop doing analogies, just keep it really specific to what we're dealing with. If you think the devs don't care about the player base, then ergo, all of your discussions are relevant. If you think the devs don't care about the player base, it's this cynical protectionism where like, okay, nothing I say matters, but it's because it's usually like, I really care about the game. It's usually coming from people who really care about PokeMMO, but they don't want to be hurt again. So they kind of be like, oh, nothing I say matters. It's like the guy who said like, you know, oh, like this post doesn't matter, even though I really care about this, like the devs won't respond anyway, so like fucking flick my hair back. Like, it's like, okay, well, you're setting yourself up, you're deciding your result in your thesis, and that makes that's biased. You can't do that. It doesn't open for any productive discussion. This is why this opening is so important. This post is made on a couple of assumptions. This is so unbelievably correct. If these assumptions are not true, then there's truly no hope left. Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. The double thing is like, if you think that these aren't true, why are you discussing? Why are you wasting your time? So it's this, you can use, it's a logic check of like, okay, people who aren't cynical, people who are super cynical, they do care. It's almost like it's just a protectionist thing. It's an emotional response. Okay. Development/administration is trying to, let's qualify the things that we have to assume is the case. Developers and admins are trying to do their best. You want the best for PokeMMO, and you're trying to create the game, that you want to play. It's okay to make mistakes as long as we are learning from those mistakes. You do not see us players as pay piggies that can't work together as a community to get our voices heard as well as act upon what it is we want. We can't actually go through and organize a boycott. My understanding is that the West can't really communicate with the East, blah, blah, blah. We are acknowledged as players who play our game and want the best for it. You do, in fact, value what is that players want and want to listen to what the player base has to say. Games are for players. You want to improve your communication. We are not going to make everybody happy / satisfied no matter what. It's an impossible task. A great one to touch on. Yeah, absolutely. I love these qualifications. Next up, I'm gonna get a sip of my drink. One sec. Wet the whistle for this very, very important conversation. I wish I was not new here and I could have a bigger picture. It's crazy that LSA is like newer to the game. I feel like they have a really good like mental understanding of the community. I could have a bigger picture of exactly what's going on. My understanding is that every time it was communicated that an update would come at X time frame, that did not end up happening. This happened a lot, and as a result, the PR strategy became to remain silent and present things when they're ready. This is something that I've talked about a lot. This is pretty much the history, to my understanding, to my memory of PokeMMOs. They used to say a lot more communication. They're kind of back to doing that and just dealing with the backlash, which I respect, honestly. But it's a tough, what's better, to say updates and then for them to not happen on time? Because the PokeMMO devs just miss deadlines almost always. And that's, the obvious answer is, oh yeah, just stop missing deadlines, lol. My idea is to communicate with if you're going to miss a deadline, say it before the miss happens. That would help a lot more. It's like when, okay, if you're gonna hang out with friends, right? Go get pizza, whatever. And we've all had a friend at some point that operates in these different ways. If you're gonna go get pizza with friends, do not be that friend who, let's say you're gonna get pizza at 12 p.m. Don't be that friend who doesn't text the group chat and then at 8 p.m. says, oh yeah, sorry guys, I couldn't get pizza today. Why wouldn't you just message them at like 11 a.m.? Like, but to the friend that's like, hey man, it's 11 a.m. I can't make it. Work got super busy. I can't get pizza. Well, now the friend group's like, oh dude, that makes sense. Totally okay. Thanks for communicating. I think that's what the PokeMMO devs need to do. It's just communicate like, hey, we're not going to make it. And try to explain because of this. Because we're not going to make it. We found a bug that affects the market. We can't change. We got blah, blah, blah. Like, I've always said, weekly or monthly dev blogs, I think would fix like most of PokeMMO's communication, relationship problems with the developers. We have a long-term, there's a lot of history here. Let me continue on though. Okay. As a result, the PR strategy can remain silent. I want to preface this by saying that I do not care about when an update is going to come or even if there will be an update or not. I do not care about Gen 6 or not. These are trivial things when it comes to the bigger picture. I agree. If any, but a lot of people care about it, which is also like, it's okay for me to not care, but it's also important to respect that other people do care. You cannot be like, oh, I don't care, so therefore it's not a problem. Yeah, it is a problem. We do need to still have communication on that, even though I don't really matter to me as much. If anything, not giving an exact idea on when update is coming for the best. I think a lot of us in the room can agree on this. I would like to try have a more mature conversation. I think that one's up for debate. I think that one's tough. I don't know. Anyway, a simple question. Why are we going with the communication strategy of being as tightly lipped as possible? Let's talk about box trading. Author's note, I'm half, okay, blah, blah, blah. People have been wanting an easier way to trade Ditto boxes for a while now. I can't imagine this not being one of the most requested features. It absolutely is, if not the most requested feature that people want. Here's a simple question. What does development think of box trading? This is I would love to know their opinions. What a rate, what a queue, what do they think about Ditto box trading? Is it on the docket? Are they working on it? Do they care about it? Do they think it's a good idea? Is it worth their dev time? We don't know. I'm sure this idea has been discussed a lot. How much of a priority is it to feature this development? So I think if you asked a player would say that they want this feature would be a high priority for them. I don't think players know much about game design. I don't. I try to empathize, but I don't. So it's harder for us to be empathetic and understand your side of the story, especially when you give us nothing to understand. True! There is true. Once again, my whole point of this is like, it is a two-way street. We both have to get better, and I think both of us, I think the devs and the players have been getting better over the past 2 years. I don't want us to like only focus on like, oh, there's so much more room to grow. Yeah, there is, and that's cool. And that's important important to focus on because, you know, it's boring to focus on stuff we've already done, but we have come a really long way, dude. The devs have started communicating a bit more, and we have, I think, become a lot kinder and hopefully nicer and understanding to the devs. And I've seen that personally based on forum posts and based on my anecdotal observations of the community. In general, being on the receiving end of silence is frustrating. I couldn't agree more. I would rather be, I think ignoring someone is literally one of the most hurtful things you can do to them. I would rather be told a deadline or to, you know, have that friend who's going to be late for pizza or can't make it because of work or whatever, and then tell me that versus the silence. The silence is more painful in my opinion. I think to put it best, in Hell's Kitchen, Gordon Ramsay was yapping about silence. I've never seen the show. He mentioned that when one is silent, it gives off the impression that they don't care. Now I understand silence is a viable PR strategy. Like, we get it. This conversation isn't about promises. Promises are part of communication, and we'll get there. But on a basic, more fundamental level, has there been any consideration on having a person dedicated to PR? I've been talking about this as far back as like 2022. The idea of they need a community manager. I look at the RuneScape community. We can go off a lot of what they've done, obviously, because I care about RuneScape. They've done a pretty good job. When they hired, was it Archie? They hired the no, I don't want to be this role. I'm sorry. But they hired a YouTuber in the old school RuneScape scene to be a community manager for old school RuneScape, and it did exceptionally well. It was a very, very good. It's tough because it's a lot of stress and a lot of responsibility on one person. But I think it could do a lot if we have a better communication between the devs and between the players. It would help a lot. If it's someone's job to answer questions and talk to the community, aside from just me who's trying to make content as well and all pulled in all these different directions, that would be amazing. How do we reach the conclusion that silence is your best PR strategy and are we sure this is the best strategy available? I think we reached it because I always say when they set deadlines and they miss them, they would get ragged on. And once again, somewhat understandably, if you miss a deadline, you shouldn't get ragged on, but your friends could be like, hey man, like this bummed us out. Like, you're hurting our feelings. Like this sucks, you know, this is wrong. You're treating us incorrectly. Like, please, you know, please work on that in the future. Right. What is going to take for our voices in the community to be acknowledged and heard? As mentioned above, we can't realistically organize a boycott. I disagree with that. I think you can. I think even like, I've talked about this. If they add temporary incubators, I will do a 1 week boycott to PokeMMO and not play the game and not stream it. I haven't decided on whether or not I'll upload. I think I might need to upload videos. I'm not sure. That the videos thing we'll think about because I have scheduled videos. It might mess up the schedule. We'll see. But I do want to at least do a 1 week boycott of streams and playing PokeMMO for a week, because I don't like that update, and I do want my voice to be heard like that. I want to vote with my time, vote with my wallet per se, right? So I do really care about that. I think we can organize a boycott. It may not be a, you know, people think of a boycott, they think of like 100 or 0, right? Those are the two options. Make it a year. Someone unironically commented on my video talking about like me making a boycott, and they were like, you should do it for a month. That's the only way. 1 week is too short, bro. Do it for a month. That's the only way you can make an impact. And I was like, number one, that's insane. You feel the impact after a week. Number two, do you want to pay my rent for a month? Like, I think people seem to forget, like, this is my livelihood. Like, I am by what's it called? By boycotting PokeMMO for a week, I am giving up a week of my revenue. Like, which I am happy to do because I feel like it fits my moral code, and it's something that I feel like you've seen me do it over. I've been making content now for a few years. I feel like I've consistently performed. I've consistently held to my morals, and you know that's not something we can always. People can say that, but a lot of people talk the talk. But I feel like I have consistently walked the walk when it comes to that, with riots in game, with making videos, with trying to stop updates that are bad for the game and all these things. I have consistently walked the walk, and I will continue to walk the walk, but it has to be a reasonable walk the walk. I can't give up a month of revenue, guys. I'm sorry. I can't afford that, right? I'm just a normal guy trying to straight by here, okay? Anyways, not to focus on that. I think we could organize a boycott. I think it's important to mention. I think we really could make a real impact just to show them how many people are against this update. I think it's really important. If we really want to communicate about ditto boxes, do we have to be putting posts in the suggestion box every day about ditto boxes? Yeah, we shouldn't be doing. True. You tell us in the game's FAQ that you want to hear about gameplay experiences. I imagine there are plenty of players that are willing to provide that. What is it going to take to get that dialogue going? It's not even about the feature. That's not important. Now, so I've talked about, I wish that we had, it's kind of a lot of work is the problem, but I like the idea of having, we already have a PvP tier council, okay? Which is literally players of the game that talk to the staff members and some of the higher ups, from my understanding, that discuss like what we want to do in terms of PvP and like how the balance, like updates and balancing. Oh, do we want to ban Lovely Kiss, like things like that, right? Why do we not have the same tier council for like shiny hunting? Which shiny hunting I think has become the most popular activity in PokeMMO. If it is the most popular thing in the game, like I think if we had a shiny hunting tier council, or council, whatever you want to call it, we don't even leave the word tier in there, I don't think temporary incubators even would have happened. I don't think it would have even like they would have shut that down so fast, and permanent incubators would have been a lot more balanced. Like, and it's tough when the developers don't communicate these updates to us ahead of time and they just come out. Now they're in the game. You can't really, it's really hard to put certain updates like permanent incubators back inside Pandora's box after you implement them. They've already affected the economy. They've already affected the game forever. It's really, really hard to like undo that, right? Yeah, I would love a council, like a raid council. The problem is you need a lot of them, like shiny council, Shenanigans council, raid council, people who are experts in what they do, people who are specialists in those fields in the game. I think the developers communicating with different players like that would be really helpful to the game and prevent a lot of bad updates before they even, and stop them from wasting dev time on stuff like that. Okay, back to where was I at? What's going to take to get dialogue going? It's not even about the feature. That's not important. What I imagine we value is more is the dialogue to get there. We are not game designers. We can't understand what it takes to implement a box trading system. We can't probably even begin to understand the logistics. I super agree with this. Also, on the topic of egging, what does the development think of egging? What does the development see as problems with egging and aspects of egging they're looking to improve? I noticed the devs introduced incubators regarding egging. This makes the process of hatching better. I agree with this. Better because you can do something else while you hatch your eggs. Very nice. True. The problem is how many incubators and the temp incubators and yada, yada, yada. However, to me, this begs the question, why are we attacking eggs with incubators? Why do we think increasing the number of eggs you could hatch was a good idea? Not saying if it is or isn't. Also, how do we come to the conclusion of temporary incubators? Like, why 7 of them? That's a lot of temporary incubators. So my first instinct is to ask, why give us 7 additional ones? I feel like temporary incubators being an idea that was thought of suggesting that there's, yes, basically, I totally agree with this. The fact that I have never... This is the most, temporary incubators was the most doomer and cynical I've ever felt about the devs. And it pains me to say that. I love the devs and they do a great job. And I think assuming negative of them is not healthy. But I have never felt like they are not on the same page. I've never felt more disconnected to them. I've never felt like they are more out of touch than when the temporary incubator thing happened. And sometimes the players are wrong. Like I always think about back when I was like 15 years old and they changed the breeding system. When they changed the breeding system to consume Pokemon, I was like, no, this is horrible. I fucking hate this. But now years later, I'm like, wow, that was literally one of the most genius things that ever happened. That was literally one of the most genius things they could have possibly done. It's like a genius system that sustains the market, or did until alphas. Like I love the, so sometimes we are wrong as players, but I feel pretty confident about the temporary incubators and my current thought process on and arguments on it. Also, regarding promises, I understand that we have to be careful about promising things. I think in general it's important to set reasonable expectations, but with this said, I feel like we can definitely be doing better about what's to come in PokeMMO, what areas of that game development is looking to tackle and improve on. How does development currently view the state of the game? Personally, I would like to read a dev blog that was posted once every 3 months. Yes, it's at least every 3 months. Yeah. Yes, I've said for many, many years, I think a dev blog is one of the most powerful things they could do. Fan games like Pokemon Reborn and Rejuvenation were also able to run dev blogs just fine, but those are single player games and I'm not sure if it's too comparable to an MMO. If things don't plan out, that's fine. This shit happens all the time in game design, to my understanding. If they, that is really important, if they ever do a dev blog, we as the players have to be respectfully responsive, okay? If they post in a dev blog, hey, we are looking at possibly adding this update, and then the players go and spend all 50 mil of their Pokeyen on, you know, on that item that's going to get buffed and updated, but then 3 months later, they say, actually, just kidding, it's not going to happen. You cannot be mad as a player. Like, as a player, you have to understand, if they qualify, hey, we're looking at this, and they need to use more qualifiers, to be fair, when they talk, we have to be understanding and respectful to like things pop up in game development, like things change, plans change. It is what it is. We have to be, we want the communication, but we have to be flexible. The moment we aren't flexible, the moment like the players respond like, oh fuck you, I was planning for this, blah 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 blah. Well, now we are driving them away. We're being unhealthy. That's unrealistic. This is literally basic healthy communication. I don't know what to tell you. Like, this is, if you think that's obviously we can't get every single player to do this, right? Not every single player, but we need as many as possible to be talking to the devs like adults. That's really all it is. Let me go ahead and keep continuing on though. This open out's fine. I feel like what I missed. Communication isn't easy. In fact, I would say it's quite easy to fuck up with communicating. Absolutely, I do it all. I do it every day. I fuck up at least 3 times a stream. That's you know, because I talk so much, right? I think it's really important to communicate, as it can potentially open us up to seeing seeing the development side, opens up the floodgates for the dialogue to form. Yes, I think this is such an incredibly, that's the full post. I think this was such an incredibly well thought out post. I think it's super good, and I think this is a really important poll. I think most people know this. Once again, I voted disagree on this poll, which has 34% of the vote. Strong disagree is 57. I think it's a fair thing to vote. I don't think anybody. I respect the optimists. I don't know if anybody should be voting. I mean, it's your opinion, more power to you. I don't know if anybody should be voting agree or strongly agree with the developers' approach to communication. I don't think they're doing a good job with communication. I don't think anybody's trying to hide that. I think it's okay. I think it's fine. Now, I do want to highlight. Do I want to highlight this person? There's a few people. This is what I would call. I don't want to like bully anybody, but this is what I would call an unproductive post. This is doing everything. Remember how like everything we talked about earlier. We have to assume this of them. If you are assuming the devs are just a lazy dev team, why are you even talking? Why are you assume that they don't care. Why are you still here? It makes no logical sense. Logically check yourself. It makes no sense to be wasting your time and energy on discussion that you don't think you are able to reach them. So that tells me that deep down, you do actually think you can reach them, and you do actually think you're just putting this up as a protective wall, essentially, to guard your emotions, which I think is lame. I think this is unproductive. I think it's important to call this stuff out, because I think it halts and slows down our ability to get better and better. It slows down. It hurts our productive discussion as a community, and that makes me really sad. Agree with a bunch of stuff said here, but let me read their full post. Agree with a bunch. Maybe they just said one thing that I don't agree with. I don't think it's very healthy. That's okay. I do that all the time, right? Like the one guy had still a great post, but the one thing that I don't agree with, you know, it's not a end of the world. Doesn't mean I can't write that person off, right? Agree with a bunch of stuff here, but there's also the other side of the promise the ETAs never fulfill them. I agree. This is really bad. Happened in the past. I super agree. This is a long-term player, so I understand their built-up resentment, but you have to logically check your built-up resentment, even if it's valid to have. Neither is good, but getting ETAs just for them not to happen isn't a solution either. I super agree. We have to. I hope we can go back to like the pizza analogy of, I hope that they can tell us well beforehand, well before an update not coming, hey, it's not going to happen. Give us proper communication. The community needs more transparency. 1000% agree. Some devs make devlogs on their developments, think how things are working. I think like this is okay. I actually, you know what? I've come around to I love this person, but it's very funny. These two comments that they left are polar opposites. It's really interesting to me. These two comments are polar opposites. This person says like, you're just overglazing a lazy dev team when he's trying to make an assumption. But yet, in the next comment, he leaves a very thoughtful, like very heartfelt, very vulnerable, very emotional. You protect your emotions here. You put up a wall, but then yet you care. You obviously care a lot about the game, and I respect that. But we can't be doing this. It's just not it doesn't do anything. Even if you think this is the case, there's no discussion to be had. So it's illogical. It's kind of like if you're watching a YouTube video that you don't like, why would you ever leave a negative comment? Unless your critiquing comment is fine, right? Like, hey, I think you missed on some points, or I think your audio quality was like really hard to understand, blah, blah, blah. But if you're like, if you just ever comment, it's why the YouTube comment, "This video sucks," is never a good comment, because you're not doing anything. You're not adding any value. You're hurting people. You're lazily lashing out like an emotional child, right? As opposed to actually and it's really hard. The problem is many people have problems with things, but offering proper critique is really, really difficult. Me below every Patrouski video based. Giga Chad. It takes a lot. Like this is a good post with a lot of proper healthy critique. And then the problem is that it's met with replies like this. And to be fair, this is funny. This is like a meme. I get it. But on one end, it's also not that funny because it's like a serious problem. There's a lot to talk about here. There's a lot of complexities. Thank you, Alice, for putting your neck out, being the man in the arena. I think it's really important to appreciate like the people who make these posts, who are vulnerable, who want to make things better, who aren't just cynically assuming malice of the devs, because it makes no logical sense to do so. There's no productivity there, as well as, but they're also willing to critique the devs and willing to be like, hey, you're fucking pissing me off, devs. Like it's totally valid to be like, PokeMMO devs, you're fucking pissing me off a little bit, dude. Stop doing that. Stop, giving us deadlines and missing them. That's pissing me off. That's so valid. But you can't be like, because you're pissing me off, I'm gonna fuck your mom. The game stinks, and like all, like we gotta control it. It's tough. It's tough. That was the longest PokeMMO stream recap intro we'll probably ever have. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments. Let me know if you think I'm way off, if you think I'm wrong, if you think there's even arguments you can present in a healthy way that are like, you know what, I think the cynicalism is actually valid because of blah blah blah. I think it even is valid, but is it okay to present? Like, this whole thing gets solved via communication and proper communication, and we just can't stop communicating. We can't stop talking. We can't assume the conversation's over before it begins. We have to have the conversations, and those are hard sometimes, painful, difficult, and annoying, and it's not even for everybody. A lot of casual PokeMMO players are watching this and probably like, what the hell, bro? Like, I'm just playing the storylines and like having a blast. What the fuck are these guys? What are these Turbo Online losers even talking about? Like, which I dude, I get a little bit, but there's nothing wrong with caring about a game. There's nothing wrong with caring about a place where you spend thousands and thousands of hours. So I want to make, there's a lot of nuance. There's a lot of nuance to our fan-made virtual video game. Like, there's a lot of nuance to something that is so niche in the world. There is. I know it seems silly, but there is. So let's go ahead and actually jump into the stream. I'm going to do something very hopefully cool today on the Iron Man account and finish up the first part of the project until event season. So let's just go ahead and jump into it. Thank you guys for watching. Like the video if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you made it to this far. You might as well subscribe. If not, I get it. Let's jump into the gameplay. This is actually a great quick question. Someone said, quick question. If you don't mind, I'm trading a bulky Golbat for catching alphas. Is there any way to stop it from evolving every single level? So normally, I was about to say, like, not really. Normally, to stop a Pokemon from evolving, you can, you have to have an XP reamplifier, which is kind of expensive, and then you can put an you can put an Everstone onto it. But obviously, people say, oh, why don't you put an Everstone on it? You can't have an Everstone and an XP shard on the Pokemon at the same time, so you have to have an XP reamplifier. However, happiness evos like Golbat, there is actually a trick. You can trade that Golbat to a friend of yours and then trade it back, and its happiness will reset to like 27% or whatever. So happiness evos, if you want to stop them from like evolving constantly over and over and over, because I think Golbat's happiness, correct? I've done that before with certain mons. Yeah, you can basically stop, because that can be really annoying, and it'll speed up your, you can trade the Golbat to a friend really quick, have them trade it back, it'll reset its happiness, and it'll save you a few of those evolution screens. Great question. I'm actually so glad you asked this question, because I did not realize how long it had been. Someone said, how long have you been doing the Iron Man account? And I said, like, I don't know, like 3 to 4 months. Dude, we're coming up on our 5th month anniversary. That's insane. The account was started on what? July 12th? May? Oh my god, don't ask me, don't make me do this again, chat. 5-12, and it's now 10-6 as I'm recording. Not again, shut up, I'm bad at months. Okay, we're cooked. We're coming up on 5-month anniversary, dude. May. Okay, I gotta remember that one for sure. We're coming up on a 5-month anniversary. That's really crazy. I did not know it had been that long. That's wild. Okay, this Twitch poll is making me crash out a little bit. What the fuck are you guys talking about? 51% of you play with music on in game. You're psychopaths. I agree that Pokemon music is amazing, okay? But most of you guys have like 3,000 hours. Like, if you're watching my stream, a lot of you guys have thousands of hours. And just like Vincent was saying, he still plays the music on and he has like 4,500 hours. Dude, that's crazy. I feel like I must have turned my music on after like 10 hours, maybe less. I respect it. Like, you're a braver man than I. It's actually, you're like literally getting like lost into the world of Pokemon every day you play, actually based and like lore pilled. But like, dude, I can't imagine. This is nightmarish to me. The same tracks, the same over and over and over and over and over again, shiny hunting at a spot for like 1,000 hours, or if not longer. Like, I would go insane. I respect this level of insanity, but good God, man, I will pass. God, that's insane to me, that one over sound off or music off. Someone in chat said, I just got a mooncake randomly from knocking out a Pokemon. Apparently mooncakes are back, which is like a limited item that only happens during certain seasons or certain time periods in PokeMMO. I don't know if that indicates any sort of like change, any sort of possible update thing. Could be a lot of things. I don't want to, you know, count my chickens too early, but something to keep an eye out is the mooncake items are back. I can show you. It's like a little healing item. It's like not a crazy like relevant or, you know, but it's just rejuvenation tastes of stuff like the Moon Festival. It's just a seasonal thing we see occasionally. I would love to get one on the Iron Man account just for the collectionist aspect of it. Absolutely. Alrighty, fellas, and I think that's going to be the perfect place to go ahead and call it for today. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed as always. Like the video if you did, dislike if not, subscribe to the channel for daily Pokemon videos every single day. Follow me on Twitch for streams Monday through Thursday at 12 p.m. ET. I will see you guys tomorrow for more grinds, more progress, maybe in some variety streams this week. I like the idea of dipping into some silly little meme games. I want to play like the Sisyphus game on stream and like little dumb roguelikes, things like that. Since we're just gearing up and prepping for event season and the updates in Pokemon, I think it's a perfect time to go ahead and do so a little bit. Thank you guys for watching. You know, if you want to go above and beyond and support the channel, YouTube memberships, Twitch primes, Twitch subs, PayPal and Venmo donations go the longest way. I really fucking appreciate it. Have a great one. Good luck in Pokemon. Grind up, fellas. I will see you tomorrow. But for now, peace Reno.
Yo, what's up? Outro Patrouski here, and I wanted to take this time to say thank you to everyone who goes above and beyond and supports my channel. Your names are all listed here. You make it possible for me to make helpful and mildly entertaining content for the game that I love and make it available for free for everyone to enjoy. Thank you so much for allowing me to even be here.